This is one of the craziest things that I have in my collection. It's Iron Man. Like an actual pixel perfect little shrunk down version of Iron Man sitting on my shelf. Life's pretty good. So this right here, if you couldn't tell, is a posable Iron Man action figure from the company called Hot Toys. And for those who don't know who Hot Toys are, they basically are a toy company that makes like super high-end action figures. For all the nerds out there, this specific figure is the Hot Toys Iron Man Mark 85 Battle Damaged Edition. So I guess the question is, why did I get this figure? Because to be honest with you, I've never collected Marvel figures. I really don't have any in my collection. Turns out I'm as much of an MCU fan as the next guy. I really wanted a way to be able to immortalize that golden era of the Infinity Saga. Oh, and I totally mean what I said about this being basically like a little miniature shrunk down Iron Man. Because I have to make it clear, he doesn't look like a toy. It really just feels like you took a freeze frame from the iconic scene in Avengers Endgame, ripped that right off the screen and plopped it right onto your shelf, because this looks so good. And thank you to Shozy Store for actually letting me get this at a discounted cost. The link to their store is in the description below. He's $400. I wasn't really sure of like a smoother way to transition into that, so we'll just get that out there. If I didn't just scare you away with that, why don't we find out together what a $400 Iron Man figure will actually get you? Please. I need the views. I'll do anything. Why don't we start off with what comes in the box? It's kind of the boring stuff to get out of the way, but there's actually quite a lot that they offer in the box, as they should for this price. For example, how crazy is it that they were able to fit in this box a full-size hoodie from today's channel sponsor, Into the AM. I need to work on my transitions. Into the AM is a really great clothing brand. As a matter of fact, I happen to be wearing one of their hoodies right now. What do you know? Of course, it's the middle of winter right now in the coldest place in the United States. For some reason, it was the smart decision for me to go with their hoodie selection, and they're incredibly comfortable. But if you just so happen not to be living in the most wretched parts of the US right now, their t-shirts are always a way to go. They look really good. And right now they have a bundle deal going on where it's $60 for 3 of their graphic tees. But what makes that way better is if you go to their website by clicking on the link in the description, you'll get 10% off of everything, which is on top of the bundle deal. So cool. Either way, thank you Into the AM for being willing to sponsor this video. Oh, and no, the hoodie didn't actually come in the Iron Man box, unfortunately. As far as the accessories that actually come in the box, out of the box, the figure comes with the Iron Man head attached on already, not the Tony Stark head, and we'll get to that in just a second. As far as the Tony Stark head sculpt goes, we have to talk about this. It looks absolutely incredible. The likeness to Robert Downey Jr. here is the most impressive representation I've ever seen in a toy to any person or any character. It doesn't feel like a figure trying to represent a face, and that's what usually it ends up looking like. There's also a bunch of different hands that it comes with, but the main thing to note is that they have closed fist, open fist, relaxed fist, posable fingers, which I have here on this left hand, and then they have the iconic snapping hand with the gauntlet. There is also a replacement forearm. That's what that is, I'm pretty sure. One of them is the super damaged up version where you can see the lights pulsing through as he's about to do the snap. He also has some weapons that he used throughout the movie that I probably personally won't really use. It also comes with a set of different batteries, which we will get to in a second. Trust me. Lastly, and what I consider most importantly, is the included display base. And this is really cool and really unique. It's, you know, the little rocky terrain that he was on when he actually did the snap. And I think that's a great little touch. It has a little pole that you can like screw into the stand if you want to put him in a flying pose. That's cool too. And for whatever reason, the little pole is like bendy, but like kind of really stiff. I don't know why you'd ever want to bend it. And so it just gets annoying sometimes accidentally, like barely not straight. The point is, it's a good stand. It's a really good stand. Aside from the looks, this figure feels incredible. It really does. It's a very heavy figure. If I had to guess, I'd guess most of its internals are made out of metal. I do have to say something about it doesn't really invite you to play with it. I use the phrase messing around with it very intentionally because the high gloss finish and the heavy weight to it has like museum piece feel. Feels like it should be put somewhere precious and left there to look at. Oh my gosh. That's enough filming for today. So the next question, by nature, is what can't $400 get you in an Iron Man figure? And apparently one of those things is posability. This thing manages surprisingly to have really weak posability in a few different areas. The first, and I'd personally argue the biggest area, is the thighs. You literally can't even get him into what's called the iconic Iron Man landing stance. Like, it's named after him. The pose of him landing is named after this figure, and you can't actually get him in that pose because his thighs don't actually rotate up high enough. They're not even close. I know, like, the suit and everything getting in the way would make it hard to do this, but guys, if 3-0 can do it with way bulkier figures, they can do it here. And trust me, they have done it with bulkier figures. Believe me when I say that. The head is also a problem. Not so much the Iron Man mask head, because this has the luxury of having a second joint like right here, but this doesn't actually have that neck joint right here. You can only adjust his head from the base, and for some reason that doesn't even let you rotate it up or down. So this is the range of motion you get, and you're able to extend his waist like right here. That's what I love. But that only lets you get like a little tiny bit of this waist rotation. Kind of thought that should be better. Hello, my fellow viewers. This is post-production Jared speaking, and while I was messing around with this figure trying to get footage of the articulation, his right shoulder plate just popped off. And no, I was not being harsh with it. Matter of fact, you can see right here as I move the arms up, you can hear that little click. Yep, one more time. Anyways, the good news, if there is any, is that it doesn't seem vital to the functions of the figure. Like, it's not going to fall apart, but it does risk the shoulder pad falling off because you can see the spring's kind of loose now. So, yeah, museum piece. You can still get him into most of his iconic Iron Man poses. For example, what he was designed for, the snapping pose, obviously. He can, of course, pull off the whole casual flight pose, and he can do so while strung in air from his stand. Now, on another note, something that this figure can get you for $400 would be a cozy little room at your nearest mental asylum, which you will need once you have the urge to murder every single person around you because of these batteries. All right, sit up for this. These batteries are the worst. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're expecting to be a little maybe disappointed by, or whatever you think I'm complaining about, I promise you it's worse. While you might be smart to currently be thinking, couldn't they just throw in a USB-C cable into the box? That way we can plug it into his back and charge up his lights whenever we feel like turning him on. Well, apparently you'd be a naive idiot to think that, because this figure takes batteries, and there are 6 battery slots across the figure. Once again, you might be wondering, well, hey, what's the big headache about putting 6 different batteries in 6 different slots? No, there are 18 batteries. Each slot takes 3 different batteries. You know what they include? You know what they put in the package here? A little pair of tweezers. They include tweezers. And no, it's not nice and generous that they decided to include them. If your product needs tweezers to install batteries, you need to change your product. Now, once you've done this and you've sacrificed your entire sanity just to install these little micro batteries, you might expect the pain to be over. No, because in order to turn on the lights on the figure, you're gonna need to manually flip the plastic switch on every single one of the battery compartments across the figure. That's right, none of the lighting compartments in the figure are wired together. Oh, and guess what? In order to actually flip those switches, you're gonna need to remove each of the individual panels that they have covering the light switches. And yes, it is pretty infamous for being a challenge to actually remove. I can't take it anymore! Now, after all is said and done, you've gone through the pain of removing all the different panels and unscrewing all the little 6 different slots, so you could put the 18 different batteries within the little tiny different slots with the little tweezers that they add. And then once you screw all the little battery covers back on and you go through and turn on all the little individual switches and then put the armor back over the switch, the battery lights last about 20 minutes before they're all dead. I've just gotten to a point where I think we've crossed the line. I've literally seen action figures in Walmart for $25 that handle the lights and battery system better than this figure does. So Hot Toys, if you're watching, if I can't grab my Hot Toys Iron Man figure, remove a little armor plate on his back, and plug in a USB-C charger cable for 20 minutes in order to charge him up for about 15 to 20 hours worth of battery life, your company is doing something fatally wrong with your figures. Rework it. Rework all of it from the inside. It looks and feels fantastic. For the price that this offers, it should have an advanced solution. I should be able to touch tap his back and then it would activate all the lights on him. For this cost, we should be paying for innovation in a figure. So yeah, it's a huge problem. The question is it such a big problem that I regret the purchase? The answer is no, I don't regret the purchase for the first reason, because there's no other option. I would venture to guess that's 99% of the reason why Hot Toys hasn't done anything to innovate the inside of their figures. This and anything from this company is your option unless you intend on going to some kind of custom shop on Instagram or something. But it's Iron Man. I have him lit in my little Detolf display with light shining on him, and it's the first thing I look at every single time. It's almost threatened the rest of my collection in the Detolf because most other people don't really look at anything else that it's sharing the space with because it's so memorable, and that's what we're in for. If you're somebody watching this thinking, not in a million years, listen, I totally get it. I do. But if you happen to be one of the people who are either considering it, that's why you clicked on this, or maybe I brought it to your attention, the thing you have to ask yourself is, are you considering buying this for any reason aside from the fact that it feels and looks incredible and is a perfect representation of an absolutely iconic moment in cinematic history that we lived through? If the answer isn't yes to that, and it's for some other reason, no, I can't recommend you spend so much money on something like this. But the head sculpt, the body, the details, the paint, the weight, there's nothing like it. In order to keep myself grounded here, though, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give this guy like a solid 7.5. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this figure. Such an odd and incredible and flawed piece. And I can't help but be like stupidly proud of it, which is kind of goofy. I know. But yeah, thanks for watching. Later, guys.